Martial art red flags 18. Is Tang Soo Do and shotokan the same style? This is a very difficult, long, convoluted question. I'm gonna get right to the heart of it. I'm gonna cut through, get through the bullet points because it's a 3-minute video and I don't wanna do 22 parts on this because it would take 22 parts. So there's two versions of Tang Soo Do. If you look at the word Tang Soo Do, China hand way, which would match with what you call To De Do from Okinawa, which would be, Chinese hand. If you look at the other Korean pronunciation, Tang Soo Do, which means empty hand, that would relate to Karate Do, way of the empty hand. Okay, so you have to understand the history. Tang Soo Do was taught after the Japanese occupation of Korea. For 35 years, they were told they couldn't be Korean, had to learn Japanese, live Japanese, do Japanese martial arts. So to them, that was what they did, and everything was purged, books burnt, very hard point of history. So when they were liberated after World War II, dojang started popping up, and we can get into the 5 main ones, but we're gonna talk about hwang ki's Mudakwon. And in the original style of Mudakwon was hwa soo do. Now hwa soo do meant art of the flower hand. Now hwang ki had more of a Kung Fu influence in Taekyon. Taekyon being the foot fighting, street fighting style, not Taekwondo, this predates that. So he was doing a hybrid system that was closer to kind of Shipalge, or would be very closely related to some kind of Kung Fu. The public did not understand it because if you imagine learning and doing like karate for 30 years, that's what you're familiar with, is the Japanese method of doing stuff, and they were not familiar with him. So he failed a couple times. Realizing he had to teach like a karate style, he actually learned the Heian kata or Pyongan forms from books, but he didn't know the rhythm. So he went to a prominent Tang Soo Do school in Korea at the time under Lee Won-kook. Lee Won-kook basically brought him in the studio and taught him the rhythm of the forms, and then later hwang ki popped up next week almost and had a studio that was Tang Soo Do and basically cloned Lee Won-kook's operation, but now he knew how the rhythm of the karate forms were. He also took Butoko Kai or Butoko Kan, which was existing there from Japan, and used the Korean pronunciation Mu Dak Kwan or Wu De in Chinese, meaning martial virtue. All right, so he started teaching it, but he used that to lure people in and then started using his version of Kung Fu that he learned and hybridizing that particular style, making his version of Tang Soo Do the standard, which is who we know what people practice, like Chuck Norris, Pat Johnson, and quite a few others. So is it really shotokan? Well, I'm gonna say if it was pre-hwang ki, yeah, exactly what it was. It was shotokan. After him, and now that what we see of Tang Soo Do, and yes, there's still the shotokan forms, it's more of a hybrid Kung Fu system with karate these days.